In this video, you're going to learn how to write better prompts so that you can get better results. These are basically the same methods that I used when I first started writing using AI tools almost 2 years ago. And I noticed that the more specific that I got, the better results that I generated. So with that, let's get started. All right, so this is the framework that I'm going to be using for this video. First, I'm going to go over why good prompts matter. Then I'm going to show you a prompt framework. Then I'm going to show you about role assignment when it comes to prompting. Then I'm going to talk about crafting better instructions for AI. Then I'm also going to talk about adding specific details when you write a prompt. And then at the end, I'm also going to include in the description a link to some ready-to-use prompts that you can use for yourself, and they can be pretty helpful depending on your niche and depending on how you tweak them for yourself. So real quick, I wanted to go over why good prompting matters. And a good analogy is the first sentence you see there. Good prompting resembles cooking with a recipe. Precise measurements and clear steps produce consistent dishes, while ambiguous instructions yield unpredictable results. A good rule of thumb is the 80-20 rule, which means 80% of your results are going to come from 20% of your prompts. So as you get better at prompting, you're going to start seeing improvements in the results that you're getting, in the content that you generate. So some of the stuff I'm going to go over after this, you'll start to see how the framework comes together, and you'll begin to see why it matters that you have to assign a role and that you have to be so specific with what you want. And advanced prompting includes even more techie kind of things that some people may or may not even be interested in. So that would be something like creating, these AI agents and things that I've mentioned in some of my other videos, where you can include pretty detailed instructions like that, and you can create specific AI agents for specific results. So that's how the AI prompting kind of like ties in to creating a lot of these AI tools. So right here we have a basic versus an improved prompt. The basic prompt just says, write me a paragraph about climate change. The improved prompt actually gives a role. It says you're an expert copywriter, and it says write a 150-word paragraph explaining how climate change affects marine ecosystems, focusing on coral bleaching and ocean acidification. Include 2 specific examples of affected species and cite recent research. Write for an undergraduate audience with some scientific background. So with that prompt, you can see that it specifies a role, it specifies a length, it gives topic focus, it also gives the content requirements, and it gives the target audience specification. So as specific as it gets, it will give a better result because it is so specific. So this basically shows why you should be as specific as possible for whatever use case that you're trying to use to generate the content that you're trying to generate. So this is what the prompt framework is. As you saw in the previous example of a normal prompt versus a good prompt. This follows a 4-part structure, and the fourth is actually optional, but the fourth would be like almost kind of like a knowledge base example. So you would create like a good result, or you would get an example of what a good result looks like, and you could upload that as like a document or a PDF before you paste in the prompt, or you would include it in the prompt itself, and right before you would put something like use the following information as a framework of what a good result looks like, and then you hit enter and post it in. So with this 4-part structure, you can see a role is important. You have to tell the AI who it should pretend to be. The next is instructions. You have to give it instructions to state what you want it to do. And you have to also add details so you can shape the output based on what you want. And again, the examples is really optional. So the tools like ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, DeepSeek, all the tools, this works for pretty much every tool. The tools are going to give different outputs based on what you put in, but I would say they're pretty similar, but not exactly the same. I've tested out several of them, and I plan to test out more as time goes on. So just do not forget to get specific about what you want, because the vaguer you are, the more vague the output is going to be. So this framework can really help you when you're prompting. Again, here is another example of a basic versus an improved prompt. The basic just says write a story about a dog, and improved, you see the role as you're an expert storyteller. Instructions would be write a 300-word heartwarming story about an elderly Labrador helping its owner through depression. And the specifics of the prompt are include sensory details and end with a hopeful tone. Use a second person perspective. So towards the end of the video, I'll give some examples of what these look like, the basic prompts, and what it gives you as a result versus the results you get from a more specific prompt. So the thing about role prompting is that you have to give it a role, so the AI will narrow down based on the role that you give it. So like it'll give you more specific answers based on the topic. So like a subject matter expert, experienced professional, teacher explaining to a student. One thing that I don't see mentioned much is that you can actually combine roles. Like you see there, act as a marketing expert with 20 years of experience who also teaches copywriting. That's one thing that can be interesting to assign to an AI tool, and then you can just test it out based on what you put in to see the kind of results that you can get. Um, One thing too is avoid asking for specific name people. Try to focus more on the type of expertise that you need, and this will improve the responses. So with role prompting, you'll see again how that ties in later on when I show the examples of the good prompts versus the basic prompts. Right here are some examples. You can see here the role for teacher. Basic prompt will be writing a lesson about photosynthesis, and the improved will be act as a fifth grade science teacher, create an engaging 15-minute lesson, plan on photosynthesis with a simple experiment using household items, key vocabulary terms, and 3 assessment questions. So you can see how good that prompt is and how specific it is, and it should probably give you a good result. So I'm going to link these slides in the description so you can have them to use as a framework for yourself, and you can take a look at these roles that I have here. Another one right here at the bottom, customer support, help respond to a complaint. That's really, really vague. And as you can see, when you change it to the second one, act as a customer service manager at a luxury hotel responding to a negative review about room cleanliness during a guest's anniversary stay, draft a personalized email that acknowledges their experience, explains specific improvements, and offers appropriate compensation. That's really, really specific, and you should be able to get a really good result if you use something like that. When it comes to crafting instructions, it's best to use action verbs, and you can see right there some of the action verbs that you could use as an example are things like analyze, compare, outline, summarize, explain, create, brainstorm. So you want to format the instructions a certain way based on what you want. So as an example, respond in bullet points, write in a conversational tone. Also, length instructions would be keep your response under 100 words, provide a detailed 500-word explanation. So you can say something like create a blog post, and you can include those length instructions, create a 1,000-word blog post or 1,500-word blog post. And to narrow it down would be something like focus only on beginners. Something that I like to use is use ninth grade reading level or use an eighth grade reading level. Those type of instructions are going to be specific to the type of content that you want to create. Here's a good example of basic versus improved. You can see the basic just says, tell me about World War II. The improved would be using action verbs like explain the economic consequences of World War II on Japan from 1945 to 1960. Another action verb would be focus on industrial rebuilding efforts and American influence. Then you see there's some format instructions. Use a professional tone, include key statistics, and then the length instructions are limit your response to 4 paragraphs for a total of 750 words. You'll be able to see how this works when I try this out using an AI tool. I'm going to include some of these type of instructions so you can see the result versus just using a basic prompt. When it comes to adding specifics to a prompt, there's actually a lot that you can do. So the detail is what will determine the output. So as you can see here, you can include things like about the audience. So you can say things like this is for a high school student, this is for a technical audience. You also can specify the tone. You can also add context about your situation. So you can put in something like I'm creating content for my website or I'm preparing for a job interview. And then you can also include stuff that you do not want in the output. So an example right here is don't include technical jargon or don't suggest paid tools, or you can put in things like do not include run-on sentences. So this is a example here of a basic versus a specific prompt using that framework that I just mentioned here. So basic would be write a story about a dragon. And if you want to get specific, you would put a tone as enthusiastic, for an example. And you can see I highlighted role. So the role is act as an expert short story writer. Context in yellow there. The context would be I'm preparing a fantasy short story for high school students as an example project. The high school students would be the audience. And then the instructions would be write a 1,500 word fantasy story about an elderly copper dragon who runs a tea shop in modern day London. And include details about customer interactions and tea brewing methods. And at the bottom, you can see the unwanted content would be do not include any technical terminology or run on sentences. So with this specificity in a prompt, you can more or less just keep narrowing down more and more, and you can get more specific for the exact use case that you're trying to use the AI tool to produce whatever kind of content that you're trying to create. Now I'm going to go over some examples so you can see it in real time, and I'll show you what putting in a basic prompt would be versus the output that you get when you put in a really specific prompt. All right, I'm going to test out a basic prompt with Claude first. I will also be testing this prompt out on DeepSeek. So I'm going to do a basic prompt and then I'm going to do a more detailed prompt so you can see the difference in the results. This is the basic prompt here. Create a marketing email for a skincare brand. And as you can see, it gives you this result here. So it's got the subject line, the body, gives you this limited time offer, ready to transform your nighttime routine. It includes where you would put a shop now button if you were using this as a marketing email. And it also gives you this little, even though I mean, I guess technically you could link it here. You could put a link in this text if you were actually using something like this to the actual result based on clinical trials conducted in 2024. So next I'm going to try a more detailed prompt and I'm going to give it a roll and you'll be able to see the difference in the result. All right, now I'm going to test out a similar prompt, but it's more detailed. As you can see, I give it a roll here. Email marketing agent. Create a marketing email for a luxury skincare brand launching a new anti-aging serum. Target women 30 to 50, 35 to 50. Emphasize scientific research and include a 15% off code, NEWGLOW. And we will see the result that it gives us. All right, this is the result that it gave me from the more detailed prompt that I put in here. Create a marketing email for a luxury skincare brand launching a new anti-aging serum. I put target women 35 to 50, emphasize scientific research, and include a 15% off code. So as you can see, it's a little more lengthy. It actually gives you a whole bunch of different sections about clinically proven results. It's got the subject line here. So as you can see, the result with this is a lot better. It even gives you, this section here with the 15% off. Now this is obviously just a test email. So you can see basically what you can do if you get more detailed with a prompt. So next I'm going to test this same prompt out on DeepSeek so we can see the result of it. Okay, here I am at DeepSeek. I'm going to go ahead and test out that same prompt, create a marketing email for a skincare brand, and we will see what it's going to give us as a result. This is the result I got from DeepSeek with this basic prompt, create a marketing email for a skincare brand. As you can see, it gives you subject line, it gives you a header, Gives you the body here. You'd put the person's first name would be there. This is like one of those emails for like a email marketing software, different services that people use. There's tons of them out there nowadays. So it even gives you PS follow us on Instagram. So it kind of gives you like the social sharing ideas here. And it gives you the footer, unsubscribe. All right, so next I will try the more detailed prompt so you can see the difference in the result. Okay, here I go with this prompt. This is the same prompt as I used in Claude. It's a little bit more detailed. Email marketing agent is the role. Create a marketing email for a luxury skincare brand, and you know the rest. So I will see what the result will be once it's done. So with this result, you can immediately see the difference. Just an example here. Unveil Timeless Beauty, introducing our new anti-aging serum. So just to compare it to the original response, the subject line from that one was just glow from within, unveil radiant skin, and it has your brand name that would be here. And right here, you can see how much more there is. So it's got the 15% off with the code that I specified. It's even got the follow us on Instagram, Facebook for skincare tips, exclusive offers, and more. Again, this is just an example of what you could do with email marketing. You could create technically an email marketing agent with specific types of instructions, and then you can post in, some of these different instructions, these prompts, and you can get tons of different results. There's a lot you can do. So with this result, obviously it was a lot different because we were more specific in targeting the people's age right here, putting in a certain, the code for 15% off, emphasize scientific research, and it says right here, backed by years of scientific research. And in this original one, you'll notice that it doesn't say anything about scientific research because it wasn't specified in this original prompt. So with this type of prompting, at least this gives you an idea of what is possible with the more detailed prompts that you enter into any of the AI tools available today. Just some final thoughts. So remember to be as specific as possible. Remember to give context and to try to use the framework that I provided for you in this video. You can start with the ready to use prompts that I shared. I'm going to link them for you so you can tweak them to whatever you want, and then you can, try them out, test them out basically with whatever you want to do. All right, that's going to wrap this one up. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and hopefully this helps you with prompting in the future. And I'm going to leave the links to the slides and also to the prompts in the description. So with that, I will see you in the next one.